Assassin's Creed series is an open-world action-adventure series consisting of 9, maybe 10, but probably 9 main games. The games are set in different time periods and countries and are centered around world events, but the content is purely fictional. The gameplay is from a third-person perspective and allows for many different styles of play. The first Assassin's Creed game, rightfully named Assassin's Creed, was released in November of 2007. It is set in 12th century Jerusalem during the time of the Third Crusade. Our protagonist, Desmond Miles, uses a machine called the Animus to access the memories of an ancestor. The memory accessed was that of Altair in the year 1191. The Assassin's Creed games have main missions and side quests, allowing for the player to pace the game as they want. Though I love the series, Assassin's Creed 1 is my least favorite game. I know that it's a necessary part of the franchise because it is the beginning of the series, but I could just never find myself liking it. My first problem with the game is that it didn't have a health system. So you never really died, but you desynchronized. If you didn't perform as well as Altair would have in his time, or if you strayed too far from the path of the story, you desynchronized and you were sent to an earlier uncorrupted part of the game. In a way it was nice because it gave context to the necessity of reloading game checkpoints that fit within the story without taking away from it, but it was terrible for me because I was constantly failing missions and never really had a way to recover. I just had to start from the beginning. The game did have a good story though, and gave a lot of background about the Creed and its dynamics, but it was terribly slow. It seemed to drag on forever and it never really got to the good parts, so I didn't much care for it. In November of 2009 came Assassin's Creed 2, the direct sequel to 1 and the first game in the Ezio trilogy. The game featured protagonist Desmond Miles, but this time as assassin Ezio Auditore from 1476, Renaissance Italy. Assassin's Creed 2 is regarded as possibly the best game in the series. With a great story and improved gameplay mechanics, I enjoyed the game much more. A health system was introduced, but I found it to be inconvenient. You had to either synchronize or buy medicine from a doctor, which was now available because of the economic system which was introduced. The game allowed for more interaction with NPCs and had a better developed environment. The combat system was also so greatly improved from Assassin's Creed 1. In 2010 came Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, the direct sequel to 2, and in 2011 came Assassin's Creed Revelations, the sequel to Brotherhood, thus ending the Ezio trilogy. This did not, however, end Desmond. His final appearance came in Assassin's Creed 3, which came out in October of 2012. Even though it's called 3, it's already the 5th major installment to the series. To find the solution to save the world from the 2012 apocalypse, Desmond accesses memories of Templar Haytham Kenway. You play as Haytham at the beginning of the game, but then you get to play as his half Native American son, Connor. The story takes place before, during, and after the American Revolution. The map includes Boston, New York, and the surrounding wildlands. The game map in 3 is 1.5 times larger than the map of Rome in Brotherhood. This meant that a fast travel system had to be implemented. This way you could just go to the map, pick a discovered point, and travel there via a loading screen. There were also more methods of movement included, partly because of the natural environment, and also to enhance free running. The combat system underwent a complete overhaul, allowing for a more dynamic fighting style and an expanded inventory. The economic system also saw an upgrade because hunting in the game served as a form of resource gathering. A very high standard was set by Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It became somewhat tedious with Revelations because of the familiarity, but Assassin's Creed 3 was meant to revive the series. Instead, we were met with the slap in the face that is Connor. The story was already very slow-moving before we even met Connor, and once we do, we don't get very much more. He was a very dull character, lacking in depth, and the game was good, but he definitely took away from it some. In October 2013 came Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. In this game, we follow pirate Edward Kenway in the 1715 Caribbean. The Kenway name should be familiar because Edward is the father to Haytham Kenway, one of our main characters in Assassin's Creed 3, which would make him the grandfather to Connor. The game strays from the path a little bit by not introducing the Assassin's Creed story at the beginning of the game, but rather waiting to develop Edward's character before he becomes an assassin. The story is by far one of my all-time favorites. The mood was also very different, which was a needed change. With an advanced naval combat system, 40% of the game's story took place on the water on Kenway's ship, the Jackdaw. The land combat stayed relatively the same as it was in Assassin's Creed 3. The visuals and story made for an absolutely beautiful game, and I can confidently say that the ending was the best ending of any Assassin's Creed game to date. I only have two complaints about the game. The first is the naval travel. It took forever to actually get anywhere, and I didn't much care for the naval battles either. The second is the time that was spent outside the Animus. There was a story developing there, but I didn't much care to find out as it just took away from my personal experience with the game. There is a game that takes place between Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, making connections to both. It's disputed on whether it's actually one of the main games in the series, and I don't consider it to be because it takes place from the point of view of Templar Shay Cormac. This game is the elusive Assassin's Creed Rogue. It came out on the same day as Unity, but had little to no marketing and easily got lost in the woodwork. Assassin's Creed Unity came out in November of 2014. We play as Arnaud Dorian in 1789 Paris at the start of the French Revolution. Though Black Flag was remastered for next-gen consoles, Unity was the first game exclusively designed for one. Paris was able to be rendered at a 1-to-1 scale and crowds could number in the thousands. Gameplay was changed to allow for varying and personalized approaches to missions. Arnaud's character was also very customizable. Unity created a gaming experience that could be personalized by the player. I thought it to be a very good game, but many were disappointed by its rough launch. October of 2015 brought us two Assassins in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Our protagonists are twins, Jacob and Evie Fry. The game takes place in 1868 London during the Industrial Revolution. You have the ability to switch between characters, and each one has a different skill tree based on their personalities. Jacob has more of a focus on strength, and Evie on stealth. The map of London is larger than Paris was in Unity, and just as beautiful. It is the most modern setting in any Assassin's Creed game to date, giving opportunity for different modes of transport. The game is rather tedious though, even with two characters, and the characters themselves were really flat, not really having much depth beyond their mission. And finally, the most recent game in the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed Origins, which came out in October of last year. The game takes place in Egypt in 49 BCE, the earliest of any of the Assassin's Creed games. In this game, you play as Medjay Bayek of Siwa, a protector of Egypt. Bayek travels with a companion, his eagle Sinu. Sinu allows for the player to scout areas and mark locations and enemies. Like Syndicate, leveling and experience let you unlock skills in a skill tree. And the game also has a crafting system to improve weaponry and armor. Again, the combat system saw a complete overhaul, using more realistic hitboxes and stats. I thought it to be the most visually appealing game in the series. Lighting and colors were much more realistic and improved. The game was very different than any of the other Assassin's Creed games because it had little to no focus on the Creed itself, which was created within the timeline of the story. At times, it felt more like Far Cry Primal to me than it did Assassin's Creed. Bayek is an easily enjoyable, dynamic character with great depth and a fantastic story. The thing I didn't like about the game, though, was the time spent outside the Animus. A lot like Assassin's Creed 4, there was a story developing there, but it mostly just took away from my experience with the game. Assassin's Creed Origins easily makes the top of my list, followed closely by Black Flag and the Ezio trilogy. After that, I would choose Syndicate, Unity, and Assassin's Creed 3, with Assassin's Creed 1 taking dead last. I don't think there have been any duds in the series necessarily, but I hope that the games continue to show variety so that it's still interesting to the player. This series has a very special place in my heart, and I'm excited to see where it leads.